Everyone in that five-star Manhattan restaurant feared the manager, except one woman in a blue apron. What no one knew was that behind her calm smile stood a secret powerful enough to destroy them all. The evening light poured through the tall glass windows of L'Etoile, one of Manhattan's most exclusive fine dining restaurants. Every surface gleamed. The marble floors, the gold-rimmed mirrors, the silverware polished to perfection. Guests murmured in low, expensive tones, and a pianist filled the air with quiet jazz. Behind that elegant calm, the staff moved with mechanical precision. At their head stood Claudia Rains, the restaurant's manager, tall, sharply dressed, her heels clicking like punctuation marks across the marble. Her smile was sweet but dangerous. Her compliments came wrapped in thorns. "Table 6 and 9, new plates now," she ordered. "And someone tell the kitchen the lamb is 2 minutes behind schedule." No one dared to look her in the eye, except Evelyn Moore, the black waitress in the blue apron. Evelyn moved differently from the others. Where the rest of the staff rushed, she glided. Where they bowed their heads, she held hers high. Her voice carried warmth, her manners dignity. She had been at L'Etoile only 3 weeks, but guests already asked for her by name. That, of course, made Claudia furious. Evelyn was 40, maybe a touch older, with kind eyes and the quiet confidence of someone who had weathered storms most people couldn't imagine. To Claudia, she was an unwanted reminder that grace didn't come with a price tag. That evening, Claudia called Evelyn over just as a party of investors arrived at table 1. "Evelyn," she said, her smile razor sharp, "you'll take that table. But remember, these guests expect class. Don't overperform." Evelyn's lips curved into a small, polite smile. "Understood, ma'am." The men at the table wore custom suits and expensive watches. As Evelyn approached one of them, a smug man with silver cufflinks grinned. "You're new here, aren't you?" "Yes, sir," Evelyn said, placing down the menus. "Well, aren't we lucky?" he chuckled, his tone dripping with entitlement. Claudia watched from across the room, pretending to adjust a wine glass, but her eyes were locked on Evelyn. Every smile Evelyn gave, every kind word, every compliment from a guest. Claudia's jealousy deepened like a stain. When the party left, one of the investors handed Evelyn a business card. "If you ever want a better job," he said, "call me." Claudia saw it happen. Her jaw tightened. "Office. Now," she snapped. Evelyn followed her through the narrow hallway to the manager's office. Small, glass-walled, with a panoramic view of the dining room. Claudia closed the door behind them. "You think you're special, don't you?" she began. Evelyn stayed quiet. "I've seen women like you, smiling their way into rich men's wallets," Claudia said, her voice sharp with venom. "You play the part of the kind waitress, and they eat it up, but not here. This is a place of standards." Evelyn looked at her, calm but unflinching. "I come here to work, Ms. Rains. Nothing more." Claudia leaned forward. "Work? You're lucky I even let you serve at my tables. Guests come here to forget about the world outside. You don't fit the image." The words hung between them. Ugly, heavy, unmistakable. Evelyn's heart clenched, but her face didn't change. She had faced worse than prejudice wrapped in perfume. She simply said, "If that's how you feel, ma'am, I'll finish my shift and leave." For a moment, Claudia was thrown off by her composure. Then she sneered. "Good. The door's open." Evelyn walked out, her spine straight, her hands steady, but inside her pulse hammered. Outside the restaurant, the night air was cool and bright with city light. Evelyn pulled her coat tighter and checked her phone. No messages. She typed quickly, "I'll be late. Busy night." The reply came instantly. "Need me to pick you up?" She smiled faintly at the screen. "No, baby. I'll take the subway." But as she stepped into the station, a black car glided to the curb. The tinted window rolled down. A man in his early 40s sat inside, handsome but intimidating, his suit tailored perfectly, his eyes calm and dangerous all at once. "Get in," he said gently. Evelyn sighed. "Marcus, I told you." "I know," he interrupted, his voice low. "But something happened tonight." She hesitated, then slipped into the passenger seat. Marcus reached for her hand. "I could hear in your voice. What did they do this time?" Evelyn looked out at the streetlights flickering on the wet asphalt. Just the same old story. Different faces. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Names!" She smiled sadly. "No, I handle my battles my way." He studied her face, then exhaled. "You've always been stronger than me." "Not stronger," she said softly. "Just used to being underestimated." Marcus turned the car toward their home on the Upper West Side. The city stretched out before them, bright, cold, and unaware. But as Evelyn closed her eyes, her thoughts weren't on Claudia's cruelty. They were on Marcus, the man everyone else knew only by whispers, the one whose name made even crime lords hesitate. If only Claudia Rains had known who she'd spoken to that way tonight. The next evening at Latoile, the air felt thicker, like tension had soaked into the wallpaper. The staff whispered more quietly. The pianist played slower, and Claudia Rains' heels clicked faster across the marble floors. Word had already spread about the argument the night before. Most of the waiters avoided eye contact with Evelyn, afraid that even kindness might put them in Claudia's crosshairs. But Evelyn returned to work as if nothing had happened. Her blue apron was spotless, her hair neatly tied, her movements graceful and unhurried. She didn't give Claudia the satisfaction of seeing fear. Claudia noticed, and it infuriated her. At 7:15 p.m., a reservation appeared under the name Mr. H. Moore. Claudia glanced at it briefly, then frowned. Walk-in a regular? Regular, the host replied. He called this morning. Very polite. Claudia shrugged. Fine. Table 3. When the guests arrived, the atmosphere shifted. 3 men in dark suits entered first, scanning the room like security guards. Then came Marcus Moore, elegant, composed, his presence heavy with quiet authority. He didn't need to raise his voice. Power clung to him like a scent. Evelyn was in the corner, arranging glassware, when she froze. Marcus. Their eyes met for a second, just a second, but it was enough. His expression softened, barely perceptible, then returned to calm indifference. Claudia noticed too. The man's gaze lingered on the waitress. Too long, too familiar. Her instincts flared with jealousy and curiosity. She approached the table, putting on her polished smile. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Latoile. I'm the manager, Claudia Rains. Marcus looked up, polite but distant. Pleasure. Would you like to start with wine? She asked. Yes, Marcus said, his tone measured. But I prefer if that waitress handled our table. He pointed subtly toward Evelyn. Claudia blinked. Oh, she's new, sir. I can assign someone. I requested her, Marcus interrupted gently. That's all right, isn't it? The room seemed to hold its breath. Claudia's fake smile returned. Dinner this time. Of course, sir. Anything for our guests. Evelyn approached, her heart steady despite the storm beneath her ribs. Good evening, gentlemen, she said, her voice calm, professional. Welcome to Latoile. She served with precision, every movement graceful, but under the table's linen and silver, there was another language, glances, unspoken understanding. Marcus never looked at her too long, never spoke out of turn, but his mere presence was enough to shift the entire atmosphere. By dessert, Claudia's jealousy had turned into obsession. She couldn't stop watching them. She couldn't stop wondering who he was, and why a man like that looked at her that way. After closing time, Claudia summoned Evelyn again. Her voice was sugar-coated poison. Tell me, Evelyn, she said, leaning against her desk. How does a woman like you know a man like that? Evelyn kept her tone even. He's a family friend. Claudia laughed softly. Family friend. Right. A man with a driver and bodyguards doesn't befriend waitresses. Maybe he does when they treat him like a person, Evelyn said quietly. That struck a nerve. Claudia's smile vanished. Don't get smart with me. You think your little act of humility fools anyone? You're just a woman desperate for attention. Evelyn's gaze stayed steady. I'm a woman who earns her peace one shift at a time. Don't mistake that for desperation. The silence between them stretched. Claudia's eyes flashed with anger. You don't belong here, Evelyn. You never did. Maybe not, Evelyn said, turning to leave. But I've worked too hard to let anyone make me feel small again. As she walked out, Claudia's jaw tightened. There was something about that woman, something infuriating about her calm. She grabbed her phone and made a call. Edward, she whispered. Run a background check on an employee, Evelyn Moore. Find out everything. Meanwhile, across town, Marcus sat in the back of his car, the city lights sliding across his face. His driver glanced at him in the mirror. Everything all right, boss? Marcus didn't answer for a long time. Then, softly, she held it together again. I don't know how she does it. She's strong, sir, the driver said. She's more than that, Marcus replied. She's good. And good people don't last long in my world. The driver hesitated. Should I handle the manager? Marcus shook his head. Not yet. Evelyn wants to fight her own battle. Let's see how far this Claudia's foolishness goes. He looked out the window at the glittering Manhattan skyline, his mind divided between love and control, peace and vengeance. The next evening, Claudia got her report. Her assistant handed her a folder marked Evelyn Moore, confidential. Claudia opened it eagerly and froze. There were no red flags, no criminal record, no past issues. But one detail made her blood run cold. Marital status, married. Spouse, Marcus Moore. Occupation, private consultant, unlisted. Attached was a photo, Marcus and Evelyn at a charity gala, both dressed in black, her hand resting gently on his arm. The caption beneath read, Marcus Moore, reputed entrepreneur with rumored ties to East Coast syndicates. Claudia's hand trembled. Syndicates? She whispered. Oh my God. Just then, Evelyn entered the break room to collect her bag. Claudia looked up sharply. You're married? She demanded. Evelyn stopped, startled. Excuse me? You didn't think to tell anyone your husband is. She caught herself, lowering her voice. That man? Evelyn said nothing. Claudia laughed nervously. So it's true. You married into power. No wonder you think you're untouchable. Evelyn met her gaze with quiet sadness. You see power. I see protection. The world doesn't treat women like me kindly, Ms. Raines. I learned to protect myself, one way or another. Claudia stepped closer, her voice trembling. Does he know how you talk back to your boss? Evelyn smiled faintly. He knows I never start a war, but I don't lose him either. Then she walked away, leaving Claudia frozen, her mind spinning with fear and confusion. Later that night, Marcus received a message from one of his men. The manager knows. Marcus sighed and closed his eyes. Then it's time she learns what happens when you disrespect my wife. He set his drink down and picked up the phone. No violence, he said quietly. Just understanding. The man on the other end nodded. Understood, boss. Outside, thunder rumbled above Manhattan, and lightning flashed against the tall glass towers. By tomorrow night, LaToya would learn that Evelyn Moore wasn't just any waitress. She was a woman no one should have dared to humiliate. The following evening, LaToya opened as usual. Crystal glasses gleaming, violins playing softly, and the scent of roasted rosemary lamb floating through the air. But beneath the perfection, unease rippled like a hidden current. No one could quite say why. Perhaps it was the black SUV parked quietly across the street. Or maybe it was the subtle presence of unfamiliar faces among the customers, well-dressed men with calm eyes and sharp attention. Claudia Raines, the manager, felt it first. Something was off. She adjusted her blazer and whispered to the hostess, "Double-check tonight's reservations." "Yes, Ms. Raines," the hostess said nervously. But when she looked at the list, one name stood out again, Mr. Marcus Moore. Claudia's throat tightened. He was back. She turned and saw him walk through the door, alone this time. The entire restaurant seemed to pause for a heartbeat. Even the pianist hesitated mid-note. Marcus Moore wasn't loud, and he didn't need to be. His presence was command enough. He walked straight to the bar, sat down, and ordered softly, 2 glasses. My wife's favorite wine. The bartender froze. Yes, sir. Moments later, Evelyn entered. She wasn't wearing her work uniform this time. Instead, she wore a simple cream blouse and dark trousers, her hair tied neatly, her face calm but unreadable. Every head turned as she crossed the room. Claudia stepped forward, trying to regain her authority. "Evelyn, you're not scheduled tonight. You can't just walk." Marcus turned slightly. She can go wherever she wants. His tone wasn't threatening, but it carried enough weight to silence the room. Evelyn's gaze met Claudia's. "I came to collect my last paycheck, and to say goodbye." Claudia blinked. "You're quitting?" Evelyn nodded. "Yes, I decided I won't serve where respect is optional." Murmurs rippled through the staff. Some lowered their eyes. Others looked at her with quiet admiration. But Marcus wasn't finished. He turned to Claudia, his voice quiet but precise. "My wife told me what happened here. The words you used. The way you treated her." Claudia swallowed hard. "Mr. Moore, He raised a hand. "You don't need to explain. People like you never see the damage they cause. You only understand power when it stands in front of you." He gestured slightly, and 2 of his men, dressed like regular patrons, stood up and approached calmly. The restaurant fell silent. Marcus continued, "Do you know what my wife did before she came here? She taught self-defense to women who have been bullied, beaten, or forgotten. She served food not because she had to, but because she wanted to understand humility. And you, Ms. Raines, decided to humiliate her." Claudia's voice shook. "I mean..." Marcus leaned closer, his tone low but piercing. "You meant every word. That's the problem." Evelyn placed a gentle hand on his arm. "Marcus." He looked at her, his fury dimming under her calm. "Let her be," Evelyn said softly. "I don't need her to apologize. People like her live in their own prison, one built from envy and fear. Let her stay there." Marcus studied her face for a long moment, then exhaled slowly. "You always know how to end a war without blood." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Because peace hurts them more." He nodded to his men, and they stepped back. As the tension eased, Claudia stood trembling, tears welling in her eyes. I didn't know who you were." Evelyn turned toward her. That's just it, Ms. Raines. You shouldn't have to know who someone is to treat them with dignity. The words hit harder than any threat. Evelyn turned and walked out of the restaurant, her hand in Marcus's. The doors closed behind them, leaving silence in their wake. Outside, the night air was cool and clean. The city glittered as taxis streamed by and neon lights reflected off wet pavement. Marcus looked down at her. You sure you're done? Evelyn nodded. Completely? He smiled faintly. Then it's time you stop serving tables and start building something of your own. She frowned. What do you mean? Marcus handed her a small envelope. Inside was a key. I bought the old cafe on 5th and East Broadway, he said. It's yours now. Call it whatever you want. You've served people long enough. Let them come to you for once. Tears filled her eyes, but her voice was steady. Marcus, I don't need this. I know, he said. That's why you deserve it. Weeks passed. Evelyn's Cafe, Second Chances, opened quietly on a sunny morning in Lower Manhattan. It wasn't grand or flashy, but it was warm, filled with laughter and music. People from all walks of life came through the door, the wealthy, the poor, the lonely, and the hopeful. Sometimes, when she looked out the window and saw the city buzzing beyond the glass, Evelyn thought of Latoile, of Claudia, of the night she walked home in silence, of the lessons she learned about pride and grace. And every now and then, Marcus would stop by. He'd sit at a corner table with a cup of coffee, watching her work. Not as a boss, not as a protector, but as a man proud of the woman who didn't need saving. One afternoon, a familiar face entered her cafe. Claudia. She looked different, smaller somehow. The arrogance was gone. She held her bag close, eyes darting nervously. Evelyn approached her table with a gentle smile. Can I get you something? Claudia looked up, hesitant. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. Evelyn nodded softly. I know. Claudia blinked, surprised. You're not angry? No, Evelyn said, pouring her a cup of coffee. Anger is heavy. I decided to leave it behind when I left your restaurant. Claudia looked down at the steaming cup, tears filling her eyes. Thank you. Evelyn smiled. Everyone deserves a second chance. That night, as the cafe lights dimmed and Evelyn locked the door, Marcus stood waiting across the street. You did it, he said proudly. Evelyn leaned into him, smiling. No, we did. You fought with strength. I fought with peace. Both have their place. He nodded. You changed me, you know. She laughed softly. Good. The world has enough fighters. It needs more builders. As they walked away, the city lights shimmered like 1,000 tiny stars. The woman once humiliated for her skin, her job, and her grace had built something stronger than revenge. Respect. And for the first time in a long time, New York felt like it finally belonged to her.